Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Hi, everybody. So the do's and don'ts of mobile engagement. My name is MacNeill. I'm the CEO of a company called MobileCause, and we do a lot of events, a little bit more focused on cause-based and fundraising, but the same sort of principles apply. So mobile engagement, mobile is an impulse capturing device. In fact, in this room, everybody can pull out their mobile devices because we're going to do a few things, so it's totally good. And we talk about how you take advantage of these devices that most of us actually keep with us 23 hours a day. And whether you admit it or not, you sleep with your device as well because we use it as our alarm clock and we check our email first thing in the morning. And it's hard to go against what people just naturally do. So why fight it? We want to encourage it and use it and take advantage of natural behaviors. So it is high visibility when you get text messages. When we talk about impulse capturing devices, 90% of text messages are opened in 3 minutes. Messages, though, have to be entertaining or they're ignored. Just like anything else, we have so much information coming at us, you have to make sure it captures your attention because we have attention spans of only a few seconds these days with all the different competing sources of information. Know your audience. It actually is really, really important because a millennial set of an audience or a millennial-oriented audience, everybody has a smartphone in that demographic. If you don't have a smartphone, you're considered an outcast as a millennial. It's just the nature of this generation. They're a generation that actually has something called a smartphone, but don't use the phone. Very few phone calls are made. It's a lot of texting, it's a lot of messaging, it's a lot of social, and it's just the nature of the engagement. And if you ever call them, they probably won't answer and forget about ever checking voicemail. With Gen Xers, I'm a Gen Xer, we're this flexible in-between generation where you can actually send us a message and we'll pick up the message, we'll pick up the phone, we'll listen to voicemail, we actually still use email. And then you go to the baby boomers, and it's actually a very misunderstood generation. A lot of people consider baby boomers slow to adopt technology. And right now, about 40% of baby boomers have smartphones. But the reason they adopt smartphones and start using technology is actually different. Millennials, if you don't have a smartphone, you're not considered the smartphone generation. Baby boomers don't care. However, they adopt technology for different reasons. They're kids. They're on Facebook, grandchildren, kids. They want to look at information. They want to see pictures. That's one of the reasons all the kids are leaving Facebook is because their parents and grandparents are there. Also, if any of you have kids in college, you know that you can't call and get a hold of them. You have to text them. It's the only way they respond. So their kids, they drive the behavior and they end up adopting technology and loving it and using it. And we find you have to show baby boomers. There's no difference in any generation's intelligence. It's just the use of technology. And so simple demonstrations of how you just demonstrate what to do, how to do it, actually gets fantastic results. And once somebody does something the first time, they can do it over and over and over again. So those are some tips and tricks depending on knowing your audience, understanding the difference in demographics and how people use technology is actually quite important, we find. So let's get started here. So all of you, if you pull out your smartphones and you text, the short code is 51555, and just type in the message BizBash. All one word. Just pull out your phones and the message, you open up a message, and instead of putting a phone number in, you just put the short code 51555 and type in BizBash. And there's some special message from David. There's actually a very entertaining Vine video, and you can watch that. And it's a good idea. It's an understanding of before your event, getting started is to understand your audience. Try to capture lists of mobile numbers and engage people over mobile. Because you can send them a welcome message, you can send them some update and information. 30, 45-second videos are fantastic. They get high watch rates. If it's multiple minutes, forget about it. People won't watch it. Even though you might love your content, others won't. Promote your event with subscriptions. Have people sign up to add their phone numbers for getting important notifications and information. One thing that's really important is TCPA compliance, and so make sure that you have approval that you can actually contact people. There's a lot of laws against spamming people, and so don't spam people. Make sure you legitimately have access and that you can use and communicate with people. And events like this are great ways to build opt-in lists because you have call to actions like I just gave all of you, and now you're TCPA compliant and I can message you. Before the event, make it convenient to people to RSVP using mobile. You can send a link inviting to the event, an Eventbrite link. You can collect mobile numbers from required fields on the RSVP form. And then you can also schedule and send impact messages with links to keep people excited, like some exclusive content, a special, hidden event that you're only going to announce, that day, and you have to have a notification over mobile. Remember, we don't always have our computers in front of us and other things, but we absolutely always have our mobile device, and it's a great way of engaging people pre-event. And then during the event, you can use the check-in, registration. Eventbrite does an excellent job on this sort of thing when they're checking in, but you can use this also for people to sign up for mobile alerts. It's important messages. We have this session starting. Even in emergencies, if there's something came on, notification information for people to do certain things, and you can send real-time directions, information on MapQuest, on turn-by-turn directions, validate parking, send interesting other video or promotional things. So it's a great way to engage people, and we find that using a simple system, just sending information that's useful and people actually appreciate and have utility out of, has a much higher penetration and adoption than, for example, an application. It's hard to get people to download an app just for one event, but everybody has a phone and they get text messages. So make participation exciting. Exclusive content people like, something special they can't get, or some sort of prize. We have a lot of people that do things such as, download a song off iTunes, send them a song for attending something, or to, engage with them on something. Giving something away to get something is a great way to engage people over mobile. And then after the event, send a thank you message. So everybody who watched David's video and an 8-second clip saying, welcome to BizBash and the event here in LA, all of you will get a thank you message for attending as well, saying thank you very much for attending, and a personalized note from him as well. And it's a great way to actually appreciate people for attending, and it's a way of in creating engagement, before, during, and after an event, and then after follow-on, just provided important, useful follow-up tips and little extra things that you wouldn't be able to communicate with people normally that people typically find really helpful or useful. Even just a summary. A lot of our clients, for example, send thank you messages for funds received and updating people about where the good went on the monies they received and how it helped a certain cause. And that's actually important. That reinforces future giving. And so that's one of the reasons that we take a look at it from that point of view. But it's really broadly applicable to just overall attendance when it comes to events. But make sure you send things strategically, because you don't want to just send useless, meaningless messages. You want to send things that have real meaning and real need and important notifications. Otherwise, it gets ignored. Just like we all ignore email because there's so much of it. So, top 7 mobile don'ts. Don't forget to require mobile numbers for all SVPs. It's a great way to start building a list of people. Don't forget to promote mobile alerts at registration tables. As people register, ask them to make sure they sign up for mobile alerts at the event or for special notifications. Don't ask people to subscribe without giving them an incentive. A lot of people like to get something or some sort of extra promotion they can get by doing that. It's a great way to create a win-win feeling where they're engaging with you, but they're also getting something back, and it's a nice thing to be able to do for people who are attendees at events. Don't forget to send the thank you video. It really is the best practice. We get close to 100% watch rate on videos after events, as long as they're short. We always argue with people. We had this one gentleman who's very passionate about what they do, and he had a 14-minute video. I said, do not send that. 30, 45 seconds, perfect. Even shorter. The Vine video is excellent. Something that's really simple, easy, fun, 8 seconds. David just did that, I think just yesterday, the day before the event, to have a little fun with it and welcome everybody to the event. And don't send boring messages. Does anybody want boring messages? Can you raise their hand, please? I've never had anybody raise their hand saying, I want boring messages. So think about that. Think about what maybe inspires people or excites them and what would be useful. Don't send messages without permission. Again, as I said, there is a lot of laws against that, and you can get a $500 to $1,500 fine from the FCC per message as part of the TCPA. So I'm giving that as a fair warning. There's many vendors that provide quality services that ensure your protection as a utilization of those types of services. They're called TCPA compliant. So if you're using any of these services, make sure they're TCPA compliant. It protects you and it protects the consumer. And don't treat text like email. It is a terrible practice. It's a different type of communication. So using mobile, using text, engaging people, particularly on their smartphones, is just an additional channel. Use it to complement what you do. And that's what we say, complement it. Complement the other things you do, incorporate it. People have these devices on them anyway. Taking questions. So you can also do these great things like this. So any of you have any questions, just text Q to 7177 with your question, and we can quickly answer some questions because I have 3 minutes left. And it's a good way to show you how you can engage the room in a broad audience and make it a little more interactive using mobile as well. There we go. What's the first question? It said, how many messages do you recommend sending during an event, before and after? I'm having a hard time reading that. So before, you know what, 2-3 questions before an event, text before an event is good. It's just meant to engage people, to provide maybe some useful information. Again, a link to Eventbrite to remind them to register is an excellent thing to do. Turn-by-turn directions, a link with Google Maps to the venue, also a nice thing to be able to do to people. As far as during the event, it's really whatever is appropriate. In the number of sessions, reminders. They have a 2 o'clock session. There's a 3 o'clock session. There's a special show going on the event floor, reminding people, updating, and people get it immediately. Remember, 90% of people look at their text messages within 3 minutes. After the event, be careful. It's a good thank you, and really about once every couple of months, 2-3 months, is an appropriate level of engagement, just to keep your list of mobile subscribers engaged, but not to burden them with unnecessary messages. What is TCPA compliance? So TCPA compliance is a federal law. It's the Telephone Consumer Protections Act. I think that's what it's called. And what it is it actually protects consumers. It was previously an opt-in, opt-out kind of an argument and debate. Well, now you have to actually opt in. You have to have prior written consent, so to actually be able to communicate with people. And there's lots of messages. So that's what compliance is. And again, make sure you do whatever you do, make sure you have express written consent, because you don't want the FCC fining you. Folks like Papa John's had like a $40–50 million fine for soliciting people and texting them without their permission. So anyway, it is now scrolling, and I can't keep track of how many questions there are here. So
Just answer the one about Canada.
Answer the one about, pardon me?
Canada.
Canada. Yes, I'm Canadian. I'm from Vancouver. I'm proud to be Canadian. I'm not doing the beer commercial, sorry. But no, I'm from Vancouver. My wife and I have been down in the States for about 10 years now. What about asking for mobile numbers during an event? It's just very simple, ask. It's amazing what you can do in events. I just asked all of you to pull out your phones and text, you did it. Ask. If you want somebody to tweet something or post something on Facebook, ask. Ask the audience to say, hey, there's this guy speaking, please tweet this, share with your friends, especially getting out-of-towners or people who couldn't make the event. It's a great way to incorporate and integrate social just by simply asking. Do you provide a way for people to opt out of text? Absolutely, very important. As part of being TCP compliant, any provider who provides these types of services have to have the ability to opt out, to say stop or ask for help. That's part of the law and the requirement. So any good quality vendor absolutely is necessary. And if you are working with a good vendor doing that, then you don't have to worry about getting in trouble with any of the laws. And then let's see here. What do you do with a limited number of texts to encourage people to engage and join? I don't know the answer to that because I thought everybody had unlimited text plans these days. So I apologize for those of you who don't, but it just seems like everybody has a family plan and everybody has unlimited everything these days. I don't know the answer on how you can actually encourage people. They do or they don't text with you. And I'll have one more question and then we'll wrap up here. Have you ever seen a wedding use mobile alerts? No, I have not. So it would be very interesting, but I think brides might have a different opinion about that, and I would know from a lot of experience not to mess with a bride. So anyway, listen, thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. I hope this has been useful and a little bit entertaining, and have a fantastic day, okay? Thank you.